If you have an LG C1 and you have never tried OLED Motion Pro High at 60 Hz, 60 frames per second on your games, it's because you didn't know about the feature, because the flickering bothers you, it is too dim, or you're just out of your mind because you get 158 frames per second like motion clarity. That's absolutely amazing. And the best thing about this setting is that it is so possible, so achievable. If you have a gaming console or a PC, you can get 60 frames per second in most games today, to not say all of them. So this is the most realistic, the most practical, the best setting basically that your LG C1 has. I play so many games at 60 because that's all I can get. A game like Cyberpunk, for example. Playing Cyberpunk is so demanding. I cannot get 120 frames per second on this game. So I use 60. I have all the graphics on the game are maxed out, everything exception of the reflections and ray tracing, but the rest of the game is maxed out and it looks absolutely amazing. And this is a shooter. It's a AAA game, it's a shooter, and it is just amazing. The input lag is great, the game feels very responsive, and it is just amazing. I've been playing it a lot, and it's just unbelievably good with these settings. So let me explain you how is that I realize, how is that I know this stuff. How do I know that this is exactly what you are getting? And how is OLED Motion Pro improving the motion clarity? Also, I am going to give you some tips for the brightness, how you can get the brightness, and also talk about the flickering issue. So let me start by explaining you why it improves the motion clarity. Based on the Blur Buster's law, the motion clarity, which is, what is motion clarity? It's basically you have an object moving on the screen and it looks clear in motion. At a given speed, it looks clear. Okay, and perfect motion clarity means you have the object not moving or moving, it looks the same. So it doesn't matter if the object moves. That is perfect motion clarity. And you can get that at a given speed, okay? And if you increase the speed, then you need more motion clarity. So what the Blur Buster's law states is that the motion clarity is equal to the pixel visibility time, okay? So using the UFO test and doing some comparisons and a lot of effort, I realized I calculated exactly how much motion clarity you get when using Motion Pro High on this LG C1. So let's make up these numbers here. I'm gonna pull a calculator and let me explain what this is. 16.67 milliseconds. Let me reduce the size of the calculator. Okay, that's okay. So we have 60 frames per second. Okay, so in 1 second you have 60 images. That's what it means. So if we divide 1 by 60, we get this result in seconds. So then we multiply that by 1000 and we have 16.66 milliseconds. So this is how long each frame stays on the screen. This is the pixel visibility time because this is a sample and hold display. So each frame stays on the screen until the new one comes. So what black frame insertion does, this OLED Motion Pro, I don't like the black frame insertion terminology because we are not inserting a black frame. It is just a scrolling instead of, so this is how the image is drawn, left to right, top to bottom. So the pixels start to draw here, and once it has 38% of that window filled, then it keeps scrolling down and the rest of it is black. So this is black and it keeps scrolling down like this, okay? So by doing that, it's reducing that pixel visibility time from 16.67 milliseconds down to 6.3. How do you calculate this 6.3? Just 38% of 16.67. So this 6.3 milliseconds, it's going to give you the frame rate that you would get. So we do the reversed operation. We divide 1 by 6.3, and then we multiply that by 1000. It's the reverse operation. So we get 158.7. 158 is an approximation. That is absolutely amazing, because it is not only 158 frames per second. It is 158 frames per second, rock solid, no fluctuations. So the picture quality that you're getting is just so stable and smooth. It is absolutely amazing. So what about the flickering? The flickering is visible at 60 Hertz, and it is especially visible and annoying if you have a white screen like this. This is like the worst case scenario. But think about this. In how many games, in how many times on a game are you going to have a screen like this, with which most of the screen is white? It is it's not frequent at all. You may be playing Red Dead Redemption on the snow and most of the screen is white, and yes, it can bother you. But this would be my recommendation. Get used to it. Get used to it. After a moment, you cannot notice the difference. You cannot notice that problem. So for example, here in Cyberpunk, I am playing the game like here, right now, on this scene. Can I see any flickering? No. There's no way I can see a flickering here, because most of the screen is dark. I have some highlights, but most of the screen is dark. So I cannot see any problem with it. No problem whatsoever. So now, if I look at the sky, and I focus, and let's see if I can notice the flickering. Yes, I can see a flickering. Absolutely. Are you playing the game looking at the sky all the time? No. You're most of the time you are on the interior, and you don't see anything being white at all. Sometimes you're driving, and you're driving under the sun, but not everything is white. So the flickering when you're playing the games is there, but get used to it, because it is so amazing. So you might think, yes, but it is too dim. It is too dim. How can I get the brightness? So if you are on console, just use HDR and dynamic tone mapping. That is going to give you the brightness necessary most of the time. And if you are on the PC, you can use my HGIG recommended trick for SDR. So what we do on the PC to get the best brightness, picture quality, is this. You just max out this slider, this SDR, HDR slider. We max this out, and then on the TV, we are going to use HGIG. So let me show you the settings on the TV. So we come here to Advanced Settings, Brightness, HGIG. We use a screen brightness 46, and we force limited range. So black level here, limited on the TV. That's to use the trick. I am not using that right now because I didn't want to max out this slider and look at the screen, this white screen. So when I'm doing this video, it would be too bright for my eyes. But that's the way you do it. So yeah, just that. Get used to the flickering and get the brightness using HDR. But the takeaway I want you to get from this video is, if you've never tried, try it. Try it, and give it a try. If the flickering bothers you, still give it a try. Get used to it, because this is just amazing. You cannot get 158 frames per second rock solid, no matter what, on this game. It doesn't matter if you have a 4090, and it doesn't matter. With this level of fidelity, you cannot, okay? And on the consoles especially, there's no way you can get on the consoles 158 frames per second. Never. That's never gonna happen. So, I mean, this TV is not 120 It's not, it doesn't go over 120 hertz. So this is even better. This feature, it looks in motion even better than native 120. Of course, native 120 feels more responsive, but this feels responsive enough, man. This, I've been playing Cyberpunk, and this is, I mean, it's not a competitive game, but it is a shooter, and I don't have any problems aiming. You can see, I mean, you can see here the responsiveness. Let me show you. You can maybe see it. Like, I feel super, like, no problem. Like, I can play the game. It's amazing. Like, I have no issue whatsoever with the responsiveness. And people start shooting me. So, yeah, man, it's a must try. That I have to say, at least. You have to try it. If you have an LG C1, you have to. If you don't try this setting, or maybe you just turn it on, it's dark, I don't like it. You don't know. Okay, you don't know. You have to try it. You have to understand how good it is and give it a try. The flickering, you will get used to it. There's no flickering here. Most of the screen is dark. You cannot see any flickering when the screen is dark. Now, if I look at the sky, maybe. But I'm not looking at the sky. I'm playing the game like this. And most games are gonna be like this. They are not bright all the time, everywhere. So yeah, just make sure, especially if you are on PC, you get a rock solid frame rate. I use a Riva Turner, a statistic server here, to lock the frame rate. So the GPU is like 68, 70%. The frame time is perfect. It's a rock solid, no drops. And if you are on the console, there are some games that are not 60 frames per second. Unfortunately, I don't know why they keep doing 30 frames per second games. It's just nonsense. No reason whatsoever for any game to be 30 frames per second on these consoles. No reason whatsoever. So, but yeah, and there are some games that have unstable frame pacing, so that's not gonna work for those. But a lot of games now on the consoles, they are rock solid 60. Amazing. You have to try it. So yeah, I'm gonna follow up with interpolation in case that you see, oh, I would like to get better motion clarity, but I don't like the flickering. I cannot deal with the flickering. I'm gonna do a separate video for motion interpolations, because I have updated settings for motion interpolation to get a better result, and it has to do with this mastering peak trick that we talked about on the previous video. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, I've been enjoying the game, by the way, Cyberpunk. I didn't play it at the release. It was so bad, man. It was so bad. Especially, it was feeling so unresponsive. The game engine, it has a lot to do with how responsive the games feel. Different games feel more or less responsive, and this Cyberpunk was atrocious. The responsiveness was just horrendous. But it improved a lot. I mean, it feels so responsive now, especially for the gunplay. It is amazing. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions.